You know, niggas gotta get their priorities together. Got their mind on the wrong things, spending their money in the wrong way.
Trapaholics, real trap shit.
Say you need that car with the rims and a charm, just like Jim. It's more than life. Yeah.
I'm telling you. Talk to him.
Say you need that LV bag with the belt and the hat.
That's all you got though.
It's more than life. Yeah.
Talk to him. Real.
Say you wanna turn up at the club, buy some bottles, impress them girls. It's more than life.
Fucking everybody.
Yeah.
Damn, son, where'd you find this?
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Saints and Appetizers podcast and Who Dat. And I'm Ethan, and we got a lot to get into this evening, so let's just do that right now. So can I get a menu? So I just want to go ahead and get this business out of the way, and this is kind of something I kind of already knew was going to come up throughout the season, and that they were probably going to just try to postpone and try to just put off and so he could play, and this is something I knew they were probably going to do, and they just wanted to do this so he could play the whole season. And like I said, this is probably something good that they wanted to do. And that's Alvin's court date was moved again. And this is what, the third time, I think? Third time, I believe, that they've done this. And they moved it again, November to November 9th. They've moved it again, which is just crazy. I don't think that normal people that have a normal type of income, normal wealth, can continue to move their court dates consistently and continue to put that stuff off. But hey, it works in the Saints' favor. They can continue to move that off when there's no ruling. His suspension can't come down, and that works great for them because he gets to play out his age, like I said before, his age 27th season. And honestly, I think that's probably the best thing for the Saints, because honestly, even in his age 27 season, he hasn't looked great in my opinion. And maybe you could contribute that to him getting injured, I guess, already, but he hasn't looked great. Maybe you can contribute some of that to the offensive line as well, and like I said, the injury. But he didn't, even when he was healthy, his first 10 carries or 10 touches in the first game against the Falcons, at least they won that game. But then he didn't play in the second game, and then hell, right out of the gate, he gave up a touchdown to the Buccaneers, and not the Buccaneers, but the Panthers in the third game. And then this is something that keeps driving me crazy when I hear media people and other podcasters are pointing out I guess it was the last drive that the Saints had the ball on before the game, where they got the punt blocked. People keep pointing out that I guess Alvin Kamara was open on the third down play. They keep pointing out he was open again over the middle, and Jameis overthrew Jarvis Landry for the touchdown. But no one highlights that. I guess everyone forgets that Alvin Kamara was open. He did throw it to Alvin Kamara on the 2nd and 3, and Alvin Kamara dropped it. Like, it seems like everyone seems to forget that. Like, he did throw it to Alvin Kamara the previous play, and he dropped it, which he would have completed it, and he would have set it up for third and goal, or first and goal and that would have been first and goal at the 5-yard line. I guess it did get tipped. So I guess people can absolve Alvin Kamara a little bit, saying, well, it got tipped, so it made it a little harder to catch it, but it hit him right in the hands and he dropped it. So it drives me a little crazy that people want to blame Jameis for everything in last week's game, but Alvin Kamara dropped a pass that would have been a first and goal at the 5 yard line, and maybe that's why Jameis didn't go back to him on the 3rd and 3 because he did go to him on the previous play and he straight up dropped it. So that's enough about Alvin Kamara for right now. Because okay, so he had his court date moved, I guess, a 3rd time now, and so it looks like they're going to try to continue to put that off. So he will be able to play this whole season without any kind of ruling, so he can be handed down a suspension, which if he does have a ruling or anything like that suspended, I wouldn't be surprised if he gets suspended 6 games, a suspension similar to Deshaun Watson. But like I said, it would be beneficial if he gets to play his age 27 season, because if you look at how he played last year and you look at how he's already played this season, I personally think I'm seeing, at least to me, I think I'm kind of seeing some decline in Alvin Kamara, and I think I'm one of the few people that outright says that, and I think I'm seeing some decline already in Alvin Kamara, because the only good play I've seen from Alvin Kamara was the first run of the game of the Panthers game. He had like a 15-yard run or something, but since then I haven't really seen anything. But I guess you can maybe point to, oh well, he's got the fractured rib cartilage. But that's enough on Alvin Kamara. Let's talk about something good, I guess, some positive stuff, and that would be, let's see here, I guess Chris Olave. He is the offensive rookie of the month, and I was a little surprised by this, I guess. But really, I guess when you look at it, there really weren't any other rookies that you could really place that on, just because out of the wide receivers, he's really the one with the best stats. Pretty much has like about 60 yards more than any of the other wide receivers, several receptions more, and then there really aren't any great running backs, and then no quarterbacks are starting. Kenny Pickett hasn't played yet, so I mean you kind of have to give it to him. But I just feel it seems like a dirty that he some of his yards are just kind of dirty. I don't know. It's just not a clean award, because they didn't have a winning record during that time. Because really the best play that he made during that time period, in my opinion, was the 2-point conversion that helped them helped during their comeback against the Falcons. And then everything else just was kind of during garbage time against the Buccaneers and against the Panthers. Like really, if he would have been able to hold on to the ball against the Buccaneers and would have been able to hold on to that pass, that 50-yard pass when they were trying to come back, and would have been able to walk into the end zone and cut that lead to a 1-score game, then that would have been a big play. That maybe could have marked that down as his biggest play of what he racked up. I'm trying to think. He had like 26 catches or something like that, maybe 17 catches, and something like that, and like 261 yards and like a touchdown or something, like 2 touchdowns or something like that. For some reason, I don't have that right here on me right now, but he would have been able to add another touchdown. But comparing him to the other players that were able to win the Offensive Rookie of the Year 3 times during during Saints history were Alvin Kamara, uh, or Marcus Colston, October 2006, Reggie Bush, December 2006, and Alvin Kamara, November 2007. And I just want to go to where what the winning record and some of their big games were during the time period when they won their award, and see how it's a little different and how it felt kind of better, you know. So Marcus Colston, when he won that award, was, like I said, it was in October, and he had two really big games during that time. He had 5 catches for 132 yards, one touchdown, and then he had another game where he had 6 catches for 136 yards and 2 touchdowns. And the Saints, they weren't great during that 4 game stretch that they had, but they went 2-2, so that's better. But you know, you can't really say that the Saints had that opportunity to go have that record during this time, because they only played 3 games with Chris Olave, so it's not really fair, I guess you could say. But they went 500, I guess, during that time period. But then he had 2 really big games, a lot bigger. Well, I guess Olave had almost he had almost 150 yards and a touchdown last week. So he had just as big a game as the 5 catches, 132 yards and a touchdown. Okay, and then that was December 2006. Reggie Bush had a game where he rushed for 10 carries, 37 yards, 3 touchdowns. Even off of just those 10 carries, he had 3 touchdowns, and then he had 9 catches for 132 yards and 1 touchdown. He had 4 touchdowns in one game. You don't really remember, like when you look over Reggie Bush's stats and stuff, he never had like huge numbers with the Saints, you know, like he only ever rushed for, like, in his best seasons with the Saints, he only ever had like 700 yards, 800 catches, so that, and never had like really double-digit touchdowns or anything, because he rushed for like 1,000 yards and stuff with the Dolphins and the Detroit Lions. So that's crazy to see. He had 400 or 4 touchdowns in one game there. And then in another game, he had 6 carries for 36 yards, and then 6 catches for 125 yards and 1 touchdown. Like he was like he was ahead of his time. He was like he was like an old school, like I guess like a modern day, like ahead of his time, modern day, like Alvin Kamara back then. And then he had another game where he had 20. This was his best game rushing here, I guess, where he had 20 carries for 126 yards, a touchdown, and 2 catches for 23 yards. And the Saints went 3-2 there, so they actually had 5 games in that month of December. So, you know, it feels better. You feel better about the awards when the team actually wins, you know. And the Saints in general went 10-6 that year, and were somehow the first seed, only winning 10, the second seed in the NFC, only winning 10 games. I don't know how it's possible to be the 2 seed when you only win 10 games in a season. That just doesn't even make any sense. But, and then Kamara, and that was in November 2017, Kamara had 10 carries for 68 yards and a touchdown, and 6 catches for 84 yards and a touchdown. And then he had another game where he had 12 carries, 106 yards and a touchdown, and then 5 catches for 32 yards. And then he had another game where he had eight carries for 42 yards, 6 catches for 74 yards and a touchdown. And then he had another game where he had 4 carries for 87 yards and a touchdown, and 6 catches for 101 yards and a touchdown. So he was very consistent during that time. Like every game was really impressive, and they went 3-1. So it's just, I don't know, it's just dirty. Award just feels so dirty when you don't have a winning record when you win it. So that's just so much more impressive when you put up big stats and then you have a winning record. So I know I just keep saying that, but that's just how I feel about that. So we're definitely going back in time there, but I just kind of wanted to compare that to Chris Olave. But it's definitely nice seeing that he's finally breaking out and had definitely a breakout game last week against the Panthers. So let's move on to some practice stuff and some injury news here, and move on to the upcoming game in London against Minnesota now. So Andy Dalton, this is something I kind of mentioned maybe a little while back, that if Jameis Winston didn't play well, or maybe if they lost even to the Panthers, that maybe we're going to see Andy Dalton. That looks like that may be what happens, or is going to happen, or at least that's what I think is going to happen, because now Andy Dalton has been taking first team reps, and Taysom Hill has been taking second string reps. And the first day it happened, we saw some interviews with Jameis Winston saying, "Oh, I'm gonna practice on Thursday," and even Dennis Allen said, "Oh, well, this is just a rest day." Well, that looked like they were just lying to people. That just looked like a load of crap, because on Thursday he's out again, and he just keeps finding more injuries, and injury after injury are just building and building. He's starting to look like Drew Brees in 2020 with he's just starting to fall apart now, because it started with the back injury, and then the next thing you know, he's got the ankle injury, and now he's got a third thing with the hip flexor. Like he's literally he's like Humpty Dumpty. He's falling apart. And so if nothing else, even if Andy Dalton's not better physically and just a more talented quarterback, if nothing else, he's healthy. He's healthy, and that's why Jameis needs to sit down and give it a shot, give it a go, and overall, it looks like the Saints are relatively healthy. Because it's just Jameis that's out. Because on Thursday, they talked about Jarvis Landry and Michael Thomas's ankle and toe injury not being that serious. And Jarvis Landry, he set out on Wednesday with his ankle injury, but he actually came back on a limited basis on Thursday, so that's encouraging. But Michael Thomas, he was out on his second day, and I would say because of that, you're probably not going to see him, which I think that's probably fine. And that other than those two players, everyone's back. Andreas Pete's back from his concussion. Ramczyk only was out the one day for rest. It wasn't due to an injury. I mean, there's all those players are there, and there's only just Jameis and Michael Thomas out with those injuries. And then the Red Rifle, Andy Dalton, has a full complement of players. And I think it's safe to say that you're going to get a fair assessment of how good he is, I guess, compared to an injured Jameis Winston. So I think it's fair to say, and I believe that we will see Andy Dalton over Jameis Winston. I think there's no reason to even suit up Jameis Winston. I don't even think he should just rest altogether. So that's that. So moving on to hot takes and predictions here, and this is a interesting hot take. Maybe I'm trying to do a reverse jinx here, This is an interesting one. This one I could be completely off here because Justin Jefferson has really not been great here the last 2 weeks. Once again, I don't have my stats pulled up here, but I think he only had like maybe like 2 catches for like 12 yards last week. So, and then the week before that, I don't think he had very big numbers. He had a huge game against Green Bay week 1. And also on top of that, Marshawn Lattimore has been locked down this season. I think I saw a stat from Twitter or something saying that they've only thrown the ball at him like 7 times or something this year, and he's only given up like 60 yards or something like all season. Like he is having arguably his best season so far this year. And then um, Paulson Adebo is back, and I think they kind of just slowly played him back into his role, but I think he's probably healthier than he was uh, from the Panthers game into this game. He's probably healthier now. So you got both of your lockdown, shutdown corners back in this game. But I think I'm going to go out on a limb for my hot take game pick here, and I think Justin Jefferson is going to go off on us. And I hate that I'm having to pick something like this, but I think Justin Jefferson, after having 2 quiet games, is going to have 150 yards against us. He's going to find a way to get loose somehow. Probably ain't going to be on Paulson Adebo and Marshawn Lattimore. He's going to get in the slot. They're going to move him around. They're going to do do slant routes. They're going to do how they bump people off the line of scrimmage to get people open and things like that. Illegal screens. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I meant. And things like that. So getting people open illegally without calling flags and things like that. But I think he's actually going to get open, get some yards. So I think he's going to get 150 yards and 2 touchdowns. And then for the score, this is finally not picking. I'm finally not picking the Saints to win this one. I'm picking the Vikings to win, because the Saints just have not looked good the last 2 games. And honestly, they didn't really even look good against the Falcons week 1. They were just kind of lucky to come back and still that one at the end as well. So I'm picking the Vikings to win 28-17 or 28-14, because that's kind of all the Saints have been able to put up at the end of the game in the 4th quarter. So I think they'll be able to get another 14 points, probably in the 4th quarter, once again. So that's what I have. The Vikings win 28-14. So I think that's all I have for you this evening. So with that, who dat? And can I get a check, please?